Hello YouTube, welcome back to the third episode in this series where we're creating a Flutter real-time messaging app. So now we're moving on to the screens and we're going to create the movie detail screen. So we want to go over to screens and select new directory, movie detail. And we're going to create a new Dart file called movie_detail. All in lowercase. So this will be a stateless widget. And the only parameter for this class is going to be a movie. We just declare the constructor and import movie. Then we want to override the build function here, and we want to start building our widget. So we're going to use that custom scaffold that we created earlier. The title is going to be movie.title. And we know it's not going to be null because every movie in our database will have a title. And for the widgets, we need to create an array of widgets. And firstly, we're going to have a container. And then we want this container to be the width of the screen. So this will be media query.of context.size.width. And the height is going to be 400. And this is going to be the container for our movie image. The decoration will be box decoration. And inside that we're going to have an image, which will be a decoration image. The fit will be boxFit.fill. And the image will be network image constants.image URL plus movie.image. Just need to add a comma. And then we need to add a child down here. Which will be padding. The padding will be edge insets.all and the value will be 12. The child will be a text widget. The text will be rating. And then plus the movie rating. String. And we have the text align, which will be text align dot end, and then the style. Firstly, we're going to specify the color, which will be white. The font weight which will be bold. And the font size, which would be 20. Just need to close that bracket. Then we need to add another padding widget. This is going to be 12 again. And this is going to be the movie overview. And then for the style, we just want to have the text be grey. And then for the action, this is just going to be null because we don't want action. And the back button is going to be true because we do want a back button on this widget. Semicolon. And that is the movie detail screen done. And now we're going to move on to the chat screen. So in our chat folder, we firstly want to create another folder, which would be widgets. And this is going to store the widgets specific to our chat screen. Inside here, we want to create a new Dart file called message box. And we want to declare a variable on the top here, so this will be var message. This is going to be empty. Then we need to create a class. This is going to be a stateful widget. This is going to take two parameters, and they will both be functions. One will be send message. And the other will be scroll to bottom. And then we need to declare the constructor. Then we need to override the create state. And then we need to create that state down here. And then we need to override the build function. Get rid of this. Firstly, we need to declare message string. And then a controller. Then we need to add a listener to this controller. And then we're going to check if the text in this controller is greater than 1. And then we're going to assign the message to that text. Then we need to set the cursor position on the controller. So when a user taps on the text box, we want the cursor to go to the end of the text rather than just being put at the start of the text box. So this is controller.selection equals text selection dot from position and that's going to be text position offset controller.text.length, so the end of this text. A semicolon at the end. Then we need a method for sending the message, which will be void send message. Firstly, we're going to check if the message is empty. And if it is, we're going to show a snack bar. And then we'll just pass the context and then the message, and then we're just going to put message is empty and then return. Otherwise, we're going to use the function that's been passed into this widget to send the message. And also execute the message to scroll to the bottom. And finally, we're going to clear the text in the controller. Now we can go ahead and create our widget. So we're going to return a container. And firstly, we're going to declare the margin, which will be const edge insets.only, and this will be 12 on the left, 12 on the right, and 12 on the bottom. Then the child is going to be a text field. We want to set autofocus to false. The keyboard type will be multi-line. The max lines property will be set to null. The controller will be controller. And then the onTap function will be widget.scroll to the bottom. So when the user clicks the message box, we want a list of messages to scroll to the bottom so we can see the latest message. Then the decoration property will be input direction. Enabled border will be outline input border, be border radius.circular and 25.0. Then the border side will be border side color, and this will be colors.black. Then we need to specify the focus border, which is going to be exactly the same. So we can just copy this. And then finally we need to specify the suffix icon. So this will be the icon at the end of the text field. And this will be an icon button. The icon will be icon icons.send. The onPressed will just be sending the message, which is the function that we created earlier. And that's it for the message box. The next widget will be the message bubble. So under chat and then widget, we're going to create a new Dart file called message bubble. And this is going to be a stateless widget. This is going to take 4 parameters. So you want the text for the message, the time for the message, the username for who's sending it, and whether it is the current user. And this is going to determine the color of the message bubble and also where it's going to be placed on the screen. Then we just need to declare the constructor. And then we need to start building. So firstly, we're going to return a padding widget. And that's going to be edge inserts dot symmetric, horizontal 16 and vertical of 4. Next, the child will be an align widget, and then we're going to use that is current user boolean. And if it is the current user, we want alignment.center right. Otherwise, we want it to be center left. Then the child of this widget will be a decorated box. Decoration will be box decoration. The color would then be decided again on whether it's the current user or not. So if it is the current user, we want it to be red. And we need to import that library. Otherwise, we want it to be gray. And this is gray. Next, we want to specify the border radius, which will be border radius dot circular, and the value will be 16. Then inside the decorated box we have another child, which will be the text. So this will be column. Then we just need to specify the axis alignment, which will be cross axis alignment dot end. The children of this column would then be the text inside the message. So we need a few padding widgets. This will be edge inserts.all, and the value will be 6. And the child will be text. And the text will be username. Then we need to add a style as well. And here we're going to be changing the color of the text depending on whether it's the current user or not. So it's going to be white, or if it's not the current user, then it's going to be black. Then we're going to be using this widget a few more times, so we're just going to copy and paste it. So yeah, copy and paste the padding. We're going to be using this. We're going to be using this 2 more times. So on this one, instead of username, it's going to be text, and we're going to keep the same pattern. And then on the last one, we need to change this to edInsets.only. And for the top, it's going to be 2. For the right, it's going to be 6. And for the bottom, it's going to be 6 as well. And this will be the time. And we also need to change the font size in the text style, which will be 12. And then just a semicolon down here. And that's the message bubble widget completed. Now we're going to move on to the message list. So this is still in the widgets folder. So right click, new Dart file, message underscore list. This is going to be a stateful widget. And this is going to take 5 parameters. So first we have the movie ID. Username. The current user ID. The message stream. Which will be called message query. And a function which is send message. Then we just need to declare a variable here which will be called messages, which will be an array to hold up. Now we can declare the constructor. Just make sure we have a semicolon here, another one, and this dot send message. Then we need to override the create state and also import message here. This will be underscore message list state, create state, message list state. And then we're going to create that class down here. And then we want to override the build method. And then we need to declare. So firstly we need a scroll controller. And we will use this to scroll to the bottom of the screen. Then we need a method called scroll to the bottom. So scroll to bottom. And that's going to use our scroll controller, jump to scroll controller dot position dot max scroll extent, which will be the bottom of the screen. Then we need to press Ctrl O and override the init state because we want to run something as soon as the state of this widget is initialized. And we're just going to call super dot in its state. Just going to add some more space down here, and then we can start building our widget. So firstly, we want to scroll to the bottom of this widget as soon as this widget is created. So that will be widgets binding dot instance question mark dot add post frame callback. We want to open brackets and put the underscore in here, and then the arrow, and we want to call our scroll to the bottom function. And then we want to set up a listener to listen for our messages. So when any message gets added, we want to update the list. So that will be widget.messageQuery.listen. Then we want to set the state, and inside here we want to widget.messages equals event.items. So this here is observing our stream of messages from AWS Amplify, and then it's updating the list of messages, and then when this function here set state runs, that will up and rebuild the widget. Then we want to return our widget here, so this will be column. Firstly, for the alignment, it's going to be cross-axis alignment.stretch. Then the children. Firstly, we want an expanded widget, which would be a list view dot builder. Then the item count will be widget dot messages dot length. Scroll direction will be axis dot vertical. The controller will be scroll controller. We want to set shrink wrap to true. And then we can specify the item builder. So context and then index. Then we need to declare our message. So that would be message equals widget dot messages and then index. And then we need a boolean value here for is current user. And that's going to be message dot from ID is equal to the current user passed into this widget. Current user. And then we want to return a message bubble. So the text is going to be message.message. The time is going to be message.timestamp. The username will be message.fromUsername, and is current user will be the boolean value we created up here. And we just need a semicolon. And underneath the list view builder, we want to add another child, which would be a message box. And firstly, we need to import this. And this is going to be expecting two functions, one to send a message and one to scroll to the bottom of the message list. So we want to open up some brackets here and type message, and then the equals sign, and then the arrow, and open up some brackets here, and just a semicolon at the bottom. And then we just need to add the scroll to bottom method here. We just want to run set states in here, and this will be widget.send message. We want to send the message, the current user ID, the movie ID, and the username. and just a semicolon here. So with this class completed, I think it's a good place to end the video. If you could join me in the next one, where we'll be completing the chat screen and the register screen. Please like and comment, and please subscribe.